Warm greetings. The Nahual song that I just sang for you is a sacred song of the peoples of Central America that honors the Venerable Mother Earth, giving her thanks, acknowledging that she lives within each of our hearts, no matter what our gender is, and that she is the giver of all life, appropriate on a day such as this, Mother's Day. With these words, I honor the land that we are on here today, the original ancestors of this land, the Southern Arapaho, and the many mothers who gave us life. I am grateful to be in community with you on this very special and very auspicious day. Beloved ones, my ancestors, send deep thanks to each one of you. There are many places that you could have studied, yet your spirit and your heart led you here to an education that tended to mind, body, and spirit, not just mind. The ancestors have asked me to share a blessing for children now and for future 7 generations, given to me by one of my elders, Jerry Teo. They say it is for you as well. I will ask you to say it aloud with me. I am loved. I am a blessing. I am sacred just the way I am. I have dignity. I have wisdom and gifts for the whole. Now I will ask you to speak these words aloud as you look at those around you. You are loved. You are a blessing. You are sacred just the way you are. You have dignity. You have wisdom and gifts for the whole. I love how you just raised the vibration in the room. The ancestors say that it is a very great blessing to be born at this time and also a great responsibility. It is the prophecy of many indigenous peoples of Turtle Island that we are in a time of great opportunity to make a leap in human consciousness. But it is not just an opportunity for us as individuals. It is also a tremendous responsibility for the children now in the world and for the children of the next generations yet to come. And it is our responsibility to make sure that we do so. The moment that you are in is one that requires great courage and great and deep practice. Each one of you is needed to play a part in the mending of the sacred hoop of humanity, in reimagining a new world. You must become the gardeners of the new world, composting our old ways of doing things in order to plant and grow something grander and far more beautiful than we've ever seen together. If we do so, the ancestors say we will be unstoppable. Aho, aho, I heard an aho out there. One prophecy of many of the indigenous peoples of the Americas is the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. Can I get a raise of hands if anyone's heard of the prophecy of the eagle and condor? All right, it's more hands than I usually see. So the prophecy of the eagle and the condor talked about human society splitting into 2 paths. The path of the condor is the path of the heart, of intuition, and of the feminine. The path of the eagle is the path of the mind, of industry, and of the masculine. It was prophesied many, many years ago by indigenous peoples that at the time of the 1490s, we would begin a 500-year period that would become gravely out of balance, where the killing and oppression of indigenous peoples would occur. And during that time, that the eagle peoples would come to dominate the earth and virtually close to the brink of extinction bring the condor people, the people of the heart. And then it was prophesied during the next 500-year period, beginning in 1990, that a possibility would arise for the eagle and condor to fly together once again, to come into balance in the same sky, and to create a new level of consciousness for humanity. The prophecy speaks only of our potential, so it's up to us to activate that potential. Back in the 1990s, when this 500-year period of possibility for transformation began, elders, indigenous elders from all North and South America gathered in South America and talked about their many prophecies. Native Americans, Central Americans, South Americans all had different prophecies that spoke of this time. And the elder said that the indigenous peoples would need to start running as a prayer for the healing of all humanity, which we began in 1992. Every 4 years, indigenous people run. The path of the eagle begins in Alaska and runs south, and the path of the condor starts at Tierra del Fuego in Argentina and runs north. It takes over 6 months to traverse those running prayers all across the continent. And the people carry ceremony as they stop at the different tribes. They carry staffs that carry the prayers and blessings for that tribe's people and their future generations, and carry prayers for the healing of humanity. And that has been happening every 4 years since 1992. They began running May 1st out of Alaska, not long ago, and May 5th out of South America. So they're already on their way, and we'll meet in November in Panama. So I tell you this because we've been praying for all of our healing for a long time, and a lot of folks don't know that. The elders say that we're in the process of remembering right now. To dismember something means to take a body apart in pieces. So to remember is both to recall what we once knew, but it's also to remember about bringing those pieces back into wholeness. There is a quote, "Change is inevitable, growth is intentional. We must choose to grow together in the times ahead. You must make space for the openness, the cultural humility, and the deepened relationships that it will take to remember our wholeness as a humanity." In this, your education and practice at Naropa will serve you very well. An institution of learning that is seeking to remember the mind and the heart must serve together. It is important that you chose your education here in these times that we're in. The ancestors are asking you to help build a new world, a world where everyone is proud of where they come from and honored for where they come from, proud of their ancestors' medicine, a world where everyone is invited to share their wisdom and gifts with the whole. I want to share with you about my grandmother, Maria Alvarez Guevara, who I'm carrying in my pocket. She passed when I was a young girl. She taught our family so much about love and family, healing, and the power of the earth to help us restore wholeness to ourselves and to our communities. She gave us many lessons that vibrate energetically within our family even today. Some of those lessons were lost, and we're reclaiming them with her guidance. One thing she did teach us, my mother in particular, and our family, was the importance of coming from the story of we and not from the story of me, which is very prevalent in this country. And that as beings, we belong to Mother Earth and to one another. This sense of interconnectedness gives me great hope for our future. My grandmother's spirit has led me to step on the lineage of medicine women and to many wonderful teachers and elders, and I want to share some of what others have been kind enough to teach me and share with me, knowing that all of this wisdom is not meant to be patented or owned, but to be shared with much love and much responsibility. It belongs to all past, present, and future generations. One lesson is that our relationship with nature is one of family and of a teacher. When I began the medicine path, I had the pleasure of training with many teachers and grandmothers and grandfathers in Mexico, and they would not teach you the plant medicine until you understood first the way of relating to the plants and to nature with a lot of humility and grace. There was an elder who taught us about the white sage plant and said he had relationships with some of these plants 20 or 30 years. He went one day, and a particular sage plant he had known for many years had been completely harvested and killed. And he was very brokenhearted. And he broke down in tears in front of us that day. He said, "What I need you to understand is that I did not lose a plant I harvest from. I lost a teacher and an elder and a friend that was murdered." And it's that level of relationship, he said, you must have to the earth and all the creatures on it if you're to practice medicine here. Those elders taught me that nature is not a commodity owned by us. We belong to nature, and we must remember that in our path. The second is that Mother Earth is powerful, loving, and ready to compost all that we are ready to release. I had the honor of attending a people of color retreat at Deer Park Monastery in the Thich Nhat Hanh lineage in Southern California many years ago. And they did this beautiful ceremony called the Five Touchings of the Earth. And in particular, it was one adapted for the different racial lineages here in the United States, where we acknowledge the contributions, oppressions, and sufferings of each of those lineages and the important people in those lineages, and offer the suffering of each of those lineages to the earth for composting, which is necessary for planting a new world together in a sacred hoop together. And I know that sometimes in spiritual communities I've been part of, there has been some spiritual bypass, wanting to reach oneness without first releasing that which has taken us from oneness and to begin with, because it's uncomfortable. Spiritual courage is required to go to these places so that we can transform our relationship and story together and to release the things that we need to release. The third is that darkness is a beautiful gift, one that we must embrace to be whole again. We have been taught to fear the dark, to control and dominate nature. We've been taught fear of darkness as a foundation for misogyny, violence towards women, slavery, theft of land from indigenous peoples, many isms that still have their imprints and reverberations in today's society. And we also were taught by many folks that forest and nature can be dangerous and wild. Yet the dark places are places of reverence and rebirth and connection to one another. Caves, wombs, and the soil are great examples of this. A seed cannot grow without the darkness of the soil, the rest in the soil, the pause. So reverence and pauses in our lives are needed to connect with the rich and dark soil so that we can grow. If we, lastly, as a human race, are to survive, we must change our stories and ways of being. We are not supposed to do it alone. There are many beings who are ready and willing to assist us when we are humble enough to ask. And to move from a story of scarcity to one of abundance, we'll find that there is more than enough when we're in relationship. And just know that is the time of the myth of pathological hyper-individualism to be over and to be composted in order for us to return to wholeness. The ancestors ask that you seek their support, because they're ready and willing to guide us and protect us on this journey. Also to seek support from healers, from plants, and from others in your community. I want to honor my grandmother Maria for this path that's unfolding in front of me, calling me to Nicaragua for the Peace and Dignity Journeys again this year. And her guidance about focusing on the traditional medicine that's needed in this time. And for shepherding the composting of our old stories and birthing the new ones together. Most importantly, she's calling me in these times to support others in reclaiming our relationship to land and to one another, to see land stewarded and used for spiritual and community healing for all and not for personal gain. Like you, I am still unfolding, still learning, and most of all, still surrendering to what wants to be born and what is emergent through me in these times. May you do the same. It will bring me and ancestors great joy to see you surrender in this way. I want to close with a message attributed to a Hopi elder because I think it's very relevant for these times. You have been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. You must go back and tell people that this is the hour. And there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? Where are your relationships? Are you in right relationship? Where is your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak your truth. Create your community. Be good to one another. And do not look outside of yourselves for the leader. Then he clasped his hands together and smiled and said, "This could be a good time. There is a river flowing very, very fast now. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel as they are being torn apart, and they will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, and keep our eyes open and our heads above water. And I say to you, see who is in there with you in the river and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey will come to a halt. The time for the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves, banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. Yesterday, I threw this in last minute because I had lunch with Galen Ferguson, and I was very grateful. Thank you, Galen. And I don't know if you noticed it, but there was a lot of thunder and rain. That's when we were at lunch. I was very joyful. I saw a lot of people kind of get nervous, jumping up, trying to run out of the restaurant, very scared. And for indigenous people, we don't get scared when it rains. It's a blessing. And it was fun because Galen spoke about the Yoruba god Shango, of thunder and lightning and justice. I said, this is not an accident, the thunder and the rain before my speech. And it reminded me of Chak, the Mayan god, who with his lightning axe strikes the clouds and produces thunder and rain, cleansing the earth and making new life possible. This way is being cleared for us, and that's what the omen of yesterday was. You are being called in these times to be heart-based Imagineers. Whichever field you have chosen, Chuck mentioned many of them, imagine it grounded in a love-based, regenerative, compassionate foundation that honors all life and helps to bring balance to our relationships with one another and to the earth. Know that there are many others doing the same at the time, alongside you, imagineering a new world. So consider the time ahead of you an imaginative and co-creative playground as you step out of Naropa into the world. May you remember that you are loved, that you are a blessing, that you are sacred just the way you are. May you remember that about everyone around you, even when you struggle with them. May these words guide you on the next steps of your beautiful journey of service in the world. May it be so. Aho.